Now let me introduce once again Hoon-taek Kim, the CEO of 티움바이오. Please welcome him with a big hand.
Good to see you all, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kim Hoon-taek, CEO of tiumbaio. I was educated in the States, but since I do not speak English well, so I deliver my presentation in Korean. And it's been a while seeing all of you, and it's been a while introducing my company. So thank you very much, all the staff members here, for giving me an opportunity to introduce my company. So here is an overview of my company, and we will deliver on the fibrosis treatment opportunities and our vision and our plans. Our company was founded in December 2016, and with our R&Ds and our researchers. So we're a new drug company, and since the third year, we went public on CoStock, and that tells that we are competitiveness, and our research competitiveness is verified, I would say. And so far, there were technology transfer, two cases overseas, and we have 106 patents and working on business. And last but not least for this slide, even though we're located in Korea, but in August last year, we collaborated with William, and we made that a subsidiary company of ours, and 11 staff members are working as researchers there. And in Australia, we founded another subsidiary company, and it works on clinical trials. And based on that, they continue working on their clinical trials. And the key focus of our company at first is endometric, hemophilia. And hemophilia may sound very new to you, but there are cases. It is a very serious disease. It can make you lose your life if it becomes severe. And hemophilia treatment is I myself and other key researchers. When they used to work for SK Chemicals, they worked on R&D, and in 2019 we got CA licensed out, and in 2016 we got approval from FDA. So it is the first time ever in Korea, and nowadays we are saving lives of people all around the world from 40 nations. And it was also listed in the Korean health insurance system, so Korean citizens can get support when they treat hemophilia. And next is anti-cancer. And I may not be able to cover this part, but TGF or BGF receptor 2 is also being worked in our company. And nowadays, immunotherapies weaknesses can be covered thanks to this technology. So we're currently in progress. And also for immunotherapy pipelines, we're currently working on that as well. And next is fibrosis, which is the key topic for today's presentation. And actually, back in 2018, we have been working on this technology, and we made a technology transfer, and we worked on IPF, and we treated this, and we are taking a key focus on this. And next is that NASH trash treatment, and in 2020 last year, we got support from Ministry of SMEs, which was 2020 Big Three project. We were designated as a company for that and currently working on R&D. Well, then let's move on to the key topic for today, fibrosis. So, what is fibrosis and why does this happen? I will begin with that. If I would define fibrosis, then fiber is accumulated in your inner organs, and that disease is called fibrosis. So, fibrosis, the definition of which and the term itself is really difficult. I myself is an expert, however, for Bi people, probably this term may be really difficult. But to put it simple, when you make a wound, then there will be some kind of inflammation, and then you will have a scar later on, and then blood will be solidified. And so they are formed with tissues, and those combining tissues. But if let's say if your inner organs and or livers and if you get scars, and if those organs cannot function properly, then it can later on potentially make you die and lose your life. So for those serious diseases, they are defined as key reasons why people die, and for IPF, stands for idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, and there are also NASH. And however, nowadays the treatment for those are not still yet to discover. But if you take a look at the market growth rate recently, it is a market where it is gaining a lot of attention. Next is the process of getting fibrosis. So if you take a look at the slide, usually when a normal organ gets damaged, then the cells will die, and in order to deal with it, inflammation happens. And when inflammatory processes proceed, then uh, later on, if they are healed, then they can turn normal. However, if this process repeats itself, then it can it can begin fibrosis. So what I want to say here is that when your cells or gets wound, and if this fibrosis response happens, and if you memorize this part, then it'll be easier for you to understand what I elaborate in the other slides to come. And next slide, there is NASH treatment. And we got two treatments of IPF, and for NASH, we do not have an approved one yet. But the processes that I mentioned before, globally, there are a lot of treatments under development, and to which parts they relate to, they locate and is shown on this slide. And for IPF, anti-fibrosis, there are treatments. We are highly focusing on developing anti-fibrosis, and for NASH, as you can see on the slide, unlike IPF, you can cause this liver cells to die. There's metabolism, and in order to control this metabolism, there are a lot of different drugs on this part, as you can see from the slide. And next is IPF treatment. In order to come up with an IPF drug, for us, we have been working on developing a fibrosis treatment for 20 years, and based on our clinical data, and we wanted to see what kind of efficacy these different pieces of research has in terms of clinical study. And we studied commercialized drugs, and we studied this, and these suppress the worsening of these processes. And if we take a look at those failed drugs, and in terms of litonin and pirfenidone, there are a lot of efficacies. However, if you take a look at the failed drugs, then they only suppress specific characteristics. So in order to use it for IPF, then we should highly focus on fibrosis. But so in that terms, thanks to the technology transfer that I just mentioned, thanks to that characteristics, and we can suppress MP5 expression among others expressions. So thanks to that, that is why we could successfully make a success for technology transfer. So based on that analysis, what our plan is that the conventional IPF drug, in order to come up with a new one. There are a lot of global pharmaceutical companies that have been working on developing this, but we also have to come up with a new drug for this, and that is our plan. And what our plan is that if we use only one drug to target various targets, or another is that we suppress one target, but at the same time can mitigate other agents. So we take that strategy into consideration. And of course, recently there is a trend where those conventional drugs and new drugs are used as a combination to treat IPF. There are a lot of attempts, so I would like to mention that as well. And next is our plan to develop a NASH treatment. And NASH, when a liver disease occurs and then there's inflammation and it worsens and it moves on to cirrhosis. And a lot of biopharmaceutical companies are working on developing this. And on top of that, we also work on anti-inflammation and anti-fibrosis. So we have to develop that drug. And in order to uh, catch two birds with one stone, we have to select and secure those characteristics, and that is what we are currently working on. And at 티움바이오, we have 9 pipelines, and step by step, we cover each step and see and analyze and which specific steps those drugs can work on. And we are currently developing drugs. And there's a specific item called NTU5113 or NCX003, and it can propel the treatment function, and it also has a suppressing function. So it has two dual functions, and it can work on diabetes, and it can suppress inflammation, and it can suppress fibrosis. So overall, that is the overall result, and so we're currently working on developing it as a NASH treatment. And this agent called TU5113, how much potential does it have, can be shown here. And currently, we're globally developing this, and it has excellent results. And based on our preclinical trials, when we worked this, even if we with a very small dose, the efficacy was really good, and it has 100-fold of safety. And of course, in terms of PK, we orally administered this and found out that we can treat NASH as well, which is very meaningful. In Korea, there are a lot of drugs under development, and it is limited to injection. However, there are oral pills which can expel augment the treatment. And here, during the clinical trial, we decreased the glucose level, and then we increased the peptide level. And here, what to take note is that you may have heard of anti-fat disease pills or drugs, and that itself, by increasing its dose in the human body, you can come up with a lot of treatment level. And even for anti-inflammation, we also came up with fruitful results. And TM Bio here, we are putting a lot of efforts to come up with this fibrosis treatment, and we have compound efficacy test system as well as medicinal chemists team, and they're highly collaborating with each other to come up with fruitful results. And there are two different tools for antibody and small molecule, and they work on antibody, new drugs, and in order to effectively come up with a development, we're in collaboration with GenScript. And the target that we secured here is that thanks to our nanoclicks, and we provide oncodesign or ChemDiv, among other companies, are in collaboration with us. And this is the last slide. And actually, I just said, besides the fibrosis treatment, here there is endometriosis and treatment. Currently, we just working on the second clinical trial, and in Korea, Daeung Pharmaceutical is developing this and working on the second trial. And here, TZ beta and HF receptor 2 is currently under development. And for this, in the United States, for the first clinical trial, we are planning to apply for the first clinical trial in the US FDA. And the technology transferred ideas are keep under development, and the rest, fibrosis treatment, are under discovery planning stages. And within this year, we are planning to complete preclinical trial, and next year we will begin clinical trial to move on to further stages. And for hemophilia treatment, we are taking diverse steps for this. And in Korea, I personally think that we're at a top tier position, and also in order to secure the top tier position globally, we have strengths, and in results, we will additionally act as a paradigm shift maker. So Kium Bio does have a secured pipeline. And lastly, Team Bio is keep making a growth, and how we made this potentials and growth is thanks to all the supporters who were enthusiastic um, about our company. So I urge you to keep sending your support, and thanks to your support, we can actually work with a lot of stakeholders and make a success in Korea and globally. Thank you for listening.